How do I attract the right people to me faster and repel the wrong people even faster? You're listening to the right episode of the Loan Officer Leadership Podcast. I'm your host, Steve Kyles. We're powered by the Mortgage Marketing Animals and Carl White. Here's the thing. How do I like how do I become a magnet that either draws to or when you've got the polarizing ends pushes away from? Isn't that a great topic?
As you were saying that, I got a picture in my head. You get a bowl of water and you sprinkle a whole bunch of pepper in it,
Oh, yeah.
and then you dab your finger in just a little bit of soap, just a dab, just a touch, and you put your finger in that bowl, and the pepper just like it goes out all to the edges, like it repels from the soap in the finger like nothing I've ever. It looks like a magic trick. So if you've never seen that, go do it,
Yeah.
and you'll. And but I got that, dude. I'm almost more interested in how do I repel the wrong people than how do I attract the right people. But that I don't know. Is that okay to do?
It's a great visual. Hey, you know what I keep hearing? So Carl, and you're the one that taught me this, and I've probably said it 100 times, literally in the last 3 weeks. Here's the thing. So we know that whoever makes the most offers is going to make the most money. And what that has to do with is outbound or contact on a daily basis. And you and I know this. It's not about cold calling. We want a process to prospecting. What it does is it allows us to make contact, make offers, and in doing so, we're going to have a successful business. And here's what I'm finding. I hear a lot of people saying, man, I tried to call this person. I want them to work with me. I keep trying to convince them that I'm the person they should work with. And Carl, what's becoming more and more evident is this. You said this, and I want you to tell us about it. Out of 100 people, and I love it. Yeah, like the visual I get. You're like, Steve, you told me this, I think 3 years ago. You said, Steve, there's 100 people in the room. 25% of them, you could have gold coins, like worth $2,500 a coin. You throw it at them, and they're pissed you threw it at them. Tell us
Yeah,
about that.
so I call it the rule of 25.
Okay, do it because this is the foundation of how do I repel and how do I attract.
All right. So 25% of the people are going to love you no matter what you do.
Yep.
I get it. We have to close on time. You got to be nice to people, but give or take, you know, as long as you're being a reasonable individual, 25% love you no matter what you do.
Yeah.
Right. I think your best friend, he can kind of screw up. She can kind of mess up. You still love them. Right. 25% of people don't like you no matter what you do, which goes
Hmm.
to your gold coins. I can toss gold coins at them and they're mad because I'm throwing something at them. Right. And it's like, dude, it's gold
Girl,
coins.
why are you throwing something at me?
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever. 25% like you, but soon as you're not juggling enough rubber chickens,
Mm,
they don't like you. And then 25%, they don't like you unless you're juggling enough rubber chickens.
hmm.
And then as soon as you stop that, they don't like you. And I've always thought, man, the 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 secret hack of life is find the 25% that love you no matter what
That's it.
and spend all your time with them and spend the rest of your time looking for more 25%.
Okay. So and that has been the aha. So Carl, here's the question that we've been asking and really coming to great clarity around is okay, if it's only 25%, how do I get to them faster and how do I repel the others faster?
Mm,
Isn't that a great it's not it goes back to this. We can't work more. We have to get more done in less time.
mm.
And so in the beginning, you and I talked about it a couple episodes back. If you're funding under $1 million, it's a plan and discipline. That's what it is. And when I'm working on my discipline, the results matter less than the reps. And the reps matter because, hey, I got to make the calls. I got to get into my process. I got to get into call stars, the accountability of making the calls. I got to have my right list. And as I'm taking my reps, I'm getting better with my calls. Here's what happens is the better you get, the better results you'll get. So in the beginning, it's not just about results, it's about activity and consistency and discipline and plan. And then you're starting to get better with the results. And here's what we found. Like, especially if you're meeting with agents and if you're having conversations trying to attract qualified agents into what you're doing, because we know right now that past clients and qualified agents make up 67% of the current business that's being referred to loan officers. So in those two, I'm just looking to attract or repel. And I'm not talking about repel in the way of we're going to talk politics and piss half of the country off. I'm talking about in being me and being authentic, I can get to the people faster. And here's one of the things that I want to lay out for everybody is this. I really believe the more you're clear about who you are, clarity attracts, confusion repels.
Mhm.
And I've been working with a friend of mine, Richard, and he challenged me, Carl, here's what happened was 6 weeks ago, he said, Steve, what are your core values? And I know exactly where I was sitting, and I know exactly, I was literally, I was at, I know exactly where I was sitting. And Carl, I was a little pissed off. You know why? I couldn't tell him. Like I know I love people. I know, that I really believe that this is what I'm created and called to do. I know that results matter. I know that there's extreme ownership. But like he said, hey, talk to me about give me your top 3 core values. And I just thought, wow, all this time we circle around it, but there's not as much clarity in it. And the more clear I can get around what I believe, and here's the 3 things I would write down. What's my core value? Number 2 would be what's my origin story? And number 3, my I believe statement. And the more I can get, and it may sound like that's a lot, but look, here's what I would challenge you to do. So I took the next week, early in the morning before breakfast club, I'd sit in here and I'd just say, what do I like? What's my value? Well, I value family. I value leadership and personal growth. I value relationships. Value results. I value process. I value extreme ownership and being generous. And I just started typing all these things down. And then I say, okay, here's the power of it, Carl. And I'm going to bring this full circle because we talk about agent appointments and conversations. And here's where it gets so magnetic that this year is a year about conversion. And conversion will help you be wildly profitable. Are you converting the top 15%? Or are you losing
Mhm.
them? And so it's conversion and concessions will make you crazy profitable in 2024. If you reduce concessions, increase conversion. So here's what it is. I got my core value, like, and I'll give you an example. So mine is I recognize that this is a calling, Carl. Hey, and you know what? It takes me back to this. I remember growing up in a low income family where my dad literally worked all the time. He was working 70, maybe 80 hours. You and I have similar story. If I wanted to meet my dad, I had to go to the restaurant. He was in the restaurant business. He'd open the restaurant at 9, close it at 10, and he did that 7 days a week. I genuinely don't even remember a time he ever showed up to one of my games, practices, rehearsals, concerts. He just worked, and I honored him for his hard work. And what happened was, like, we were working hard and doing big things. And in my early 20s, I got into real estate, and I saw a little success, and then I was doing all these things. And then all of a sudden at 25, Carl, I ended up failing in a real estate company. We lost a ton of money, got $250,000 in debt, 4 houses in foreclosure. I'm 25 years old, newly married. And I'm saying, there's got to be more. I know I'm called to do something great. And I remember Carl, Steph, and I were walking across Greens Bayou, newly married. And I'm just saying, God, what do I do? And I know that I know that I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, there's 2 things that I've heard so clearly about. Number 1, marry my beautiful wife, now of 22 years, Stephanie. And number 2, get in the mortgage business. Carl, I didn't even know you could spell mortgage with 2 G's. Like I'm like, where did that second G come from? And here's what I know. the, that was a point where I knew that I was called to this business and it was more than a job. Like the reason I tell you that story is because I believe that we see our work not as a job but as a calling. And this industry is a gift and we get the opportunity to make a
Mhm.
difference in the lives of the families we serve.
Mhm.
So in this 2 minutes, Carl, what I just did was I told you my core value, it's a calling. I told you my origin story of where I was at and what was the pivot point for me to make it a calling. And number 3, what I believe. And in doing that, here there was an interesting stat. I mean, it was crazy. It was the Princeton Neuroscience Institute did a study, and I mean, now it's proven by science that when you tell origin stories, it invokes or evokes an emotion. And here's what we do, Carl. I'm the king of it. Like, hey, Mr. Realtor, so glad to meet with you in this 30-minute time. I'm a student of success. I get to hear your story and I'm going to frog them. And here's where it comes in super powerful. So, Carl, hey, tell me a little bit about your business. Hey, Carl, hey, you got in the business 22 years ago. Awesome. Hey, are you primarily a buyer's agent or a listing agent? Guess what I just went? Logical.
Mm.
Instead of going emotional, I went left brain logic instead of right brain emotion. Here's what I should have said. Hey, Carl, listen, tell me about what got you into the business. How did you get started? Hey, oh, I got started. My mom and dad were in the business. Well, tell me about it. What was your first experience in real estate?
Mm.
Emotion based origin story versus logic based, which is I'm the king of that. I'm like 22 transactions and all we have to do is make 54 calls. And what I'm doing is I'm actually repelling instead of attracting, because look, if they like me enough to tell me an origin story about what they do, then here's my next one. So I talk about what they do. We do frog, family, recreation, occupation, goal. If I can get their origin story out of three of the letters, occupation. And now I go into, hey, tell me what you do when you're not working. Well, I go hunting. Hey, Carl, tell me about that. Like, what was your first experience about hunting? Well, I was 8 years old and my dad took me hunting. I'll never forget. We were chasing these turkeys, and this one turkey jumped over the car, and he's off to the races about his origin story instead of, hey,
Mm.
you go hunting. Awesome. Well, how many birds did you kill? Two. Great. How many times a year do you go? Logic. 3 times a year. So if I can get to their origin story in their occupation, their recreation, hey, their dreams, hey, I've got a goal to close 50 families this year. Awesome. Why? That's their, hey, because what it'll do for me is give me the money to get this down payment to buy this house. Hey, well, tell me about that. Why is that important? Hey, well, my wife and I are pregnant and we'd really like to have 2 more kids. And instead of going logic based, Carl, I'm going emotion based. And if I can get three of their origin stories, here's how you flip it. Hey, Carl, 18 to 22 minutes in is the perfect time of a great realtor appointment or conversation. I say, hey, Carl, man, I got to tell you, I really feel like I've gotten a chance to get to know you. And I think it's only fair that if I have just a minute or so to tell you a little bit about myself, would it be okay if I shared something? And they say yes. Hey, Carl, one of the things is I can remember as a young boy, we didn't grow up with much. I was lower middle class. We actually qualified for food stamps, and now I go into my origin story about one of my core beliefs. For me, I always start with this as a calling. Why? It's my number one core belief. And I go in and I tell the same story. I can remember growing up and working hard, and we got in real estate in our early 20s. We failed, got married, struggled, walking across Greens Bayou. God really laid in my heart, this is a calling, not a job. And I know the reason I tell you that story is because I believe we see our work as a calling, not as a job. And guess what just happened? With my core value, my origin story, and my I believe statement, Carl, I just either attracted you because you're going to say, dude, this is a calling too. Or you're going to say, bro, I'm just doing this to pick up chicks on the weekend. Right. Hey, and then I go into the second one. Hey, I can remember at 15 years old working construction. I had to pay for my car insurance. There wasn't anything my parents were ever able to pay for. I actually helped contribute to the family bills. And I'll never forget working construction. I had one of those big old fat Walkmans. You remember those? Like you
Oh,
could
yeah.
put turbo boost on.
Oh, yeah.
And Carl, what happened was I would listen to John Maxwell. I would listen to Zig Ziglar. I would listen to Brian Tracy. I literally called it my work university, and I did that for the next 4 to 6 years, working construction and lawn. And man, the reason I just can remember how powerful that was and how it helped me get to where I am today. And Carl, the reason I tell you that story, there's my transition, is
Mm.
because I believe we're leaders in this industry and that we've got to be committed to personal growth and constant improvement so that we can overcome the challenges this industry provides. And within two core values, like I could literally say, hey, and I just got to tell you, and now I could go into my close. But what I've done is in a 30-minute meeting, I took 18 to 22 minutes not to ask logic questions,
Mhm.
but to ask origin questions. And if they'll go originally with me, now I can say, hey, my gosh, I feel like I get to know you. I've already gotten to know you. I think it's only fair if I share just a couple minutes about myself. Because you know what, Carl? This is the phrase we're circling around right now. I did Loan Officer Blueprint this last couple weeks. It's this. Did you know that if you're better, you'll lose?
Tell me about that.
It's not better, it's different. Everybody's got a better rate sheet. Everybody's got a better product or program. Everybody thinks they've got a better way. And if I
Mm,
go to an agent, Carl, and I say, hey, Carl, my rates are lower. Carl, I got this down payment assistance. Carl, hey, you know what? We just closed a loan in 10 days. Hey, Carl, I'm closing. And although you got to close on time with great communication, great follow up, the differentiator is this: I'm not better. I'm not just better. Carl, I'm different. Listen to this. I have a loan officer this last week that literally said the agent asked him, are you going to pitch me? And you know what the loan officer said? Hey, if it goes good, I got to talk about myself and pitch you. And you know what he said? He said, I've got enough of that. I'm not interested. And I was talking to my friend and I just said, hey, listen, write this one word down: relationship.
mm,
See, he thinks you're going to tell him you're better. And what you have to understand is when I'm getting to my tribe, I'm different. Nobody asked him, what caused you to get into real estate? Hey,
mm,
when you're hunting, what was the experience, the first experience you had in hunting? Why is that so important to you? Nobody asked him on his dreams. They asked him tactically how he's going to get there. And I asked him what it does for him and his
mm,
family. Carl, you're the king of this. And,
mm,
and what happens is if you want to attract people into your life, branch managers, if you're saying, hey, I want to recruit loan officers into my branch, the more clear you are about your core value, your origin story, which is the proof of why that value exists in your life. And number three, the I believe statements. Like
mm,
what is it I believe? I believe that every loan officer should have a competent an exceptional loan partner that keeps them out of the file so they can stay selling. And you can find that whether it's a branch manager or a loan officer. I believe every realtor should make even more money with the leads they've currently got coming into their
mm,
pipeline because they've got strategic partners that help them make more money. And the more you can articulate those, I believe, like let me give you an example. For me, it's this is a calling. Leadership's personal growth is passion. It's a passion. Here's another one, Carl, and I'll tell this as well. Hey, let me tell you a story about my dad working 70 to 80 hours a week. I remember what it was like when he didn't show up to the games, and I'm looking to see if he's in the stands. I remember what it was like wondering if he was going to come to my, like we would have big concerts. I was in music and in a big band. He never showed up. And that's why the reason I tell you that story, and I'd go deeper into it, but Carl, it's because I tell you that story because family's a priority. And when you join what we're building, you're not allowed to work more hours.
mm,
Why? Because if you worked more hours, you're going to take the time away from your kids. Like I got a 12, 9, and 6 year old. It's not an option. When you join what we're doing, it's not an option. So that's why we go into results matter. And there's my next core value. And it's like you're stacking these values with origin story, with now the I believe statement. And Carl, within a 30-minute meeting, guess what just happened? You are either fully attracted to me or uncertain, and that's okay. Or at the end, you're repelled away from. But here's what I know: there's no confusion. You know what I am. And man, this has been so cool to be able to really come to a clear understanding because some of you today, like I was telling Carl, I'm meeting probably with 20 to 20 to about 20 loan officers every single week. And Carl, what's been interesting is this is where the people that have been doing the activity and taking the reps, this is shifting into second gear and moving into third, fourth gear like super quick because now you got the reps. Now you're making the calls. Now the more clear you get about yourself, you're going to see a significant conversion and an attraction too. Whereas in the past, it was like, Carl, I want everybody to like me. Nope. I want my 25% to like me and I want them to like me fast. So now prospecting is not, I'm fearful of the calls. It goes back to this: prospecting is so cool. Carl, every day we get to find people with similar vision, values, and beliefs that are moving in the same directions with the same passion. And we get to make an impact in this industry together. And,
mm,
and it's like it becomes infectious because people move towards clarity. And so my question to you is this: are you clear in where you're going to support your dreams and your goals and your life and lifestyle? And if you're not, take some time, write those three things down. Hey, and Carl, here's what I'd love to do. If you're listening, you say, Steve, man, I'd love to just jump in a call with you and talk more about it. Go to www.meetupwithsteve.com and meetupwithsteve.com. It's a 30-minute option. It's my calendar, not somebody else. Jump in. And if you're doing business and you're saying, man, I'm doing the activity. I've got the discipline. If you don't have a plan, you need to join us at free. What is it? Freedomplanningcall.com and get the plan. Like we'll give you the plan, freedomplanningcall.com. If you're still working on your discipline, you're not showing up every single day to make the calls. If you're not calling the theme days every day, work on that first. But if you're already making the calls, you're meeting with agents and you're saying, I want to go deeper in this clarity and learning how to attract instead of repel, go to meetupwithsteve.com and I'll help you. 30 minutes, we'll invest it. What do you think, Carl? Isn't that good?
Some good stuff there, brother. That was a lot to unpack. I'm gonna have to. I normally don't go listen to our own episodes because it's kind of weird for me to to hear it, and I'm hypercritical. Not
Yeah.
on. I think, man, that Steve was awesome, but Carl, you're really kind of sluggish today. But
It's
I'm
a
gonna go
lot to
back.
unpack, but man, it's powerful.
I'm gonna go back and listen to this one. There's a lot of good stuff in there.
Hey, and you know what? I see you model it all the like you and I were talking earlier, and it's just like you're very intuitive in the way you model it. Like even I was thinking about the boot camps you and I do, and Chris, like you tell the stories, and you know what you're doing? You're bringing people into your origin, and
Mhm.
through your stories, you're telling your value. And it's like you're it's so good, and to really build a framework around it right now. I think for our loan officers and branch managers that are listening, this is a linchpin of why it's like I'm having all these conversations but nothing's sticking. And I wonder if it's because they don't really know who you are. And if
Mm.
they don't know who you are, they can't draw to you. So you're just better than everybody else. And better is not like you will not win better. It's not better, it's different. If I'm comparing to the 100 loan officers that are calling you every week, like I've got to dance on a table like a monkey for my food, and I'm not doing that. Where I'm different is I've got a process to prospect. Carl, you taught us this. It's relationship, not leads. It's depth, not tactics. It's about getting to work with you, not closing another transaction. And the more we shift to their relationship side, the right brain, instead of the logic side, the left brain, the more impactful we're going to be, the more conversion you'll have, and you'll see your results begin to literally scale in a matter of months. So good stuff.
Yeah, I think it kind of a lot of it goes around the old don't sell somebody by talking to their head,
Yes,
sell somebody by talking to their heart. Don't lead somebody by their head, lead them by their heart. And
that's
when
it.
you lead them by the heart, it's a much better experience for them. They get better results.
Yeah.
Yeah, always talk to their heart, not their head. You talk to their head, other than the 10% of engineers, you talk to their head, you're going to lose every time. You talk to their heart, you'll
Yeah.
win more than you don't. That's for sure. So good
Yeah.
stuff.
Hey, and you know what's funny is it's actually difficult because you know me, I'm like Mr. Tactics. Like I'm like, you want to make an extra 200,000. All we got to do is do one, two, three, four, five. And on this screen over here, Carl, I have a question that says origin, why?
Hmm.
Stay in the emotion, not the logic. And so I've really for the last 3 weeks found myself saying, oh, I know I can tell you how you can get here, but hey, tell me why that's important to you. So it's
Hmm.
a retraining, but it's so impactful. So hey, well, listen, again, if I can help you, you already got the discipline, you already got the plan. Go to meetupwithsteve.com. Would love to book into a call and have a great conversation. If you don't have a plan or you feel like I'm struggling with the discipline, I'm struggling, hey, with the accountability. Listen, that process for you is freedomplanningcall.com. And here's what we'll do. My team and I, either myself, Carl, Kristen, one of us will jump in a call. And listen, we will literally show you the plan and where to put it in your calendar on the plan, what to say, and then invite you into accountability through something we call call stars. Because look, once you got the plan, you need the accountability to show up. That's where the discipline comes in. And so if you say, hey, that's me, then go to freedomplanningcall.com and let's get you set up so that you could start having momentum and see success. You got to know this, Carl, myself, Chris, our entire team. We believe that this is your year. This is a breakthrough year. You're going to have great success if you've got the plan, you stay consistent, and you do the right activity. And we believe in you. So you keep pushing. It's a year of opportunity. And with that, remember this, anything worth doing is worth doing badly. Just get started. See ya.